Are we live?
We're finally live on YouTube. Okay.
Fine, we live.
We live.
This isn't a trick
Nope.
for the third time. This
Nope.
isn't a
Not a
trick.
trick. Not a trick.
Okay, y'all don't know what we talking about right now, but
It's been
Ross
a
has
night.
said,
It's been a night.
Ross has said we're live about 3 or 4 times. We've gotten about 10, 15 minutes into this show.
No, not even. Maybe 5. Maybe.
Okay. Well, we've done it twice, so 10 minutes into this show. And every time Ross starts cursing, and I'm like, Ross, we're on YouTube live. You can't do that. And he's like, we're not live. So now I hope finally y'all have seen this and see my irritation.
They are. I finally see it on
We
YouTube
are
as well on
live.
my phone. We're good to go.
I don't know why you didn't check that the first 2 times.
Well, it's because I was busy. Okay, but that doesn't matter because Jalen, welcome everyone to the 35th installment of the Fourth and Long podcast. Of course, I'm your host, Ross K. Allen, joined with Jalen. What's your middle name?
Cornell.
Jalen C. Johnson. And I'm on your left side of the screen. Jalen is over on the right side of the screen. And
Unless you flipped it or something.
it shouldn't be flipped. Otherwise, we're having some even more issues.
Just look for black and white. Jalen is black. Ross is white.
Like you couldn't tell. But this is an even more special edition of the Fourth and Long podcast because for everyone who's not listening on Spotify or on YouTube, this is live. We are live streaming on YouTube, and this is going to be the route we're going to go with most of our other shows. And so,
technically our 3rd live stream, but our first live episode stream.
Exactly. But today, everyone, we got some NFL news, some good and some bad. Jalen, I'm so happy. I finally get to talk about the sport of strongman on the show. I've been waiting for weeks. I've been waiting. Been waiting about 35 weeks now.
Yeah.
Now
he's trying to find an excuse to just throw it in there.
It's a great excuse, and I can finally show everyone the greatness of that sport. We got some baseball, we got some Last Dance, and then we have some MMA to wrap things up. But let's get into our first kind of topic of the day. Hall of Fame head coach Don Shula has sadly passed away at the age of 90 on Monday. But none of that matters because we're just going to celebrate even like he was alive because we all should be celebrating arguably the greatest coach of NFL history. He is the winningest coach in NFL history. He's up there. I guess the 2 you could really argue is him and Vince Lombardi, Tom Landry, those top 3.
Yeah.
Be really hard to number one of them. Oh yeah, that's right. The Patriot. Let's not talk about this. We're talking about happy stuff right now. Not that bad stuff. But he's a winning coach in NFL history with 328 wins with 2 different teams. He has a .677 win percentage, which is something we're likely never going to see because that is insane. He was the coach and he was a guy that led the Miami Dolphins. It wasn't Dan Marino. It was Don Shula that led the Miami Dolphins to a 14-0 season back in 1972, where they still didn't win the Super Bowl, but that's besides the point. He is still
seems to be a trend.
Yeah, so with best coaches, undefeated seasons, no Super Bowls. Thank you, Giants. He is also a 2-time Super Bowl champ, and he won the AP Coach of the Year award in 64, 67, 68, and 1972. So, Jalen, sweet damn, this guy was one hell of a coach, one hell of a person, and the world of sports and football will miss him dearly. But let's remember his greatness and let his legacy last forever. Okay, now we got that out of the way. Let's get on to some real more fun stuff that we could talk trash on. Andy Dalton, the red-headed freak of nature. Honestly,
he might dye his hair blue. We don't know if he's that dedicated.
Well, who says that his hair is actually red? It's just dyed red to match the Bengals. He's actually a bleach blonde. If you guys didn't know that.
Yep.
Oh,
yep.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine him.
That sounds terrible.
That's
I
gross.
really hope you're not.
That's a bad image. That's going to be stuck in my head for a bit.
He looks like a crackhead leprechaun in my head.
There we go. Andy Dalton's a crackhead leprechaun. But Andy Dalton we thought he was going maybe Jacksonville, maybe the Patriots.
Jacksonville, New England.
You know, it's stuff that I would actually make sense. Maybe even a backup with the Steelers.
Ooh.
But Andy Dalton signs a 1-year deal with the Cowboys. That deal is worth about $7 million, $3 million guaranteed. But Jalen, what makes this thing a little more interesting, besides him just signing with the Cowboys, there in his contract, there is a incentive where he gets I forget the amount of money, but there's a playing time incentive. So, what does this mean for Dak?
I mean, it means if Dak doesn't stay on his square, or stay focused for you guys who don't know what staying on your square means.
Thank you. Translate for the white folk out there.
But pretty much if he's not on his stuff this season and decides to be a little princess for being tagged, they're like, we got our guy.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, they kind of like, I know they said that this wasn't what they were trying to do, but they technically just said you're expendable. We can get another guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're not special. We
Exactly.
can sign another guy who's willing to play here in a second.
Exactly. And so
yeah,
to interject real quick, Jalen. To all everyone leaving questions, and by everyone I mean the one person leaving questions, they will all be answered at the end of the show. We'll save those comments for then. We'll make sure to get to you. We won't forget about you.
No, we will not.
Promise. Man, but Dak, he has to be feeling some pressure now. He has to be feeling like, oh boy, I can't just go out and act like and throw like a $20 million a year quarterback and ask for 35, 40 plus million a year.
Which he doesn't deserve.
No, not at all. I'd say maybe a $22 million a year quarterback.
I would have given the 35 would have been my max for him.
At the max. He did offer and he didn't take it. We've talked about this in the past. Dak Prescott is a grade A moron, but that's not the story here. What the story is that Andy Dalton will be finishing the regular season as the Dallas Cowboys starting quarterback.
Tannehill style.
That is my promise. That's my guarantee. That is the bold prediction of the day. All right.
Tannehill. No, this is the bold prediction right here.
Oh boy.
Let me hear it. Your bold prediction. Andy Dalton will finish the season with more passing touchdown and like a lower passing touchdown to interception ratio than Dak Prescott.
Does Dak 0 Prescott count as lower?
Well, no. I mean like more like a farther distance.
No. I know what you mean. I'm just calling you a dumbass.
Nah, I'm gonna go even one farther.
Oh boy.
Andy Dalton will finish the season with more passing yards than Dak Prescott.
You want to hear bold? You really want to hear bold, Jalen? Andy Dalton will finish the season with more rushing yards than Dak Prescott.
Oh, wow.
Hey, we say bold. This show, on the show, at least I am, but we're known for our bold and hot takes on the show.
Hey, we've been right a lot, though.
To a very surprising amount with some of the stuff that we spew out of our mouths, and we just kind of talk. We kind of get it right. It's a curse and a blessing.
Have been around us for a while now. I mean, I know we haven't been around for too long. Almost coming up on a year. Almost. August will be. Yeah. But during the playoffs, me and Ross jokingly made a prediction that Lamar Jackson would throw for 300 plus yards in the playoffs, which was my prediction. I said he will throw for 300 plus yards.
And this was like the beginning, early in this in the show too. We weren't even playoffs at this point.
No, we were at playoffs. We said it twice.
That's right.
We jokingly said it one time, and then we were like, we got out of hand. We were like 700 yards. And then when the playoffs actually came around, I said the Ravens will Lamar Jackson will throw for 300 yards, and you're like, matter of fact, 350 yards.
Man, he did, but that didn't really work out for them in the end, though.
It didn't work out for them. We didn't say they would win. We just said Lamar Jackson would throw for 350 plus yards.
Exactly. That's a takeaway here. But the biggest takeaway about the Andy Dalton story is that almost no one saw this coming. But Dak Prescott should be worried, and Andy Dalton will be playing meaningful games for the Dallas Cowboys this season.
Well, Andy Dalton did come out, I believe it was either today or yesterday, in an interview and said that the pandemic itself did have an effect on him signing with Dallas Cowboys because he already has a house in Dallas.
That's perfect. Perfect for him.
So he said it'd be better for him to be already there then I mean, already
Can't
have a
fault
place
that.
there and having to figure all
Exactly.
the logistics out and stuff. So he decided to take the safe route.
Hey, that's a
inside
vet
the
move
Cowboys.
right there. That is a vet move. And once again, I'm going to say this: Andy Dalton is one of the most underrated quarterbacks in all of the NFL. It's just because he was on a crap team with crap players around him. He had AJ Green, but AJ Green can't stay healthy. He saved his life recently. He's not really had a run game, not really had an offensive line. They've made it to the playoffs a couple times, but they haven't really done much with that. But Andy Dalton, underrated. Let's leave
Thanks,
it.
Montez Perfect.
Thanks. Oh boy.
They should have one win at least.
I feel bad for Andy, to be honest. And now he's going to go to a team that will make the playoffs at 8-8. So good for him. Dude, Frank Gore, though. Frank Gore is still playing, and he's still going strong because he has signed a one-year deal with the New York Jets. He's going to his 16th season. Right now, Frank Gore is third in rushing yards in NFL history. He's only behind Emmitt Smith and Walter Payton.
Wow.
So,
That's pretty elite company right there.
it's damn elite company right there. It might sound like he's 1,379 yards behind Walter Payton, but Frank Gore hasn't showed any signs of stopping.
At all.
I could still, going into the season, he's in his 16th. I can see him honestly making 18. So if we're talking 30, so about 1,400 yards, 700 yards a season isn't out of the realm of possibilities. So
Yeah, that's not at
Frank
all.
Gore is going to play. I honestly, truly believe that Frank Gore is still playing because he wants to at least catch Walter Payton. That is a fact, and because a competitor like Frank Gore, he is going to be this guy, highly motivated, a lot of doubters. Most people say he shouldn't even be playing still, but look what he's been doing. He's still been chugging along. Adrian Pearson, just last season with the Redskins, he kind of had a re-emergence with his NFL career. And so it is still possible. It is definitely possible. And I would imagine if in a couple seasons he actually is able to pass Walter Payton for second all time.
If you look
my
at
gosh.
that Jets backfield, he could honestly, with Le'Veon Bell and him spelling Le'Veon, if Le'Veon is still there, we don't know how that situation is going to turn out still yet. We can honestly see him go for around 600 to 700 yards. Frank Gore is not a guy who's had lately too many.
Trevor Jacobson, thanks for subscribing, homie. Appreciate it. Appreciate the love.
Thank you. I just texted him.
Hey, there we go.
But he hasn't really had a lot of, we don't know if it's like he's hiding them at all, and he's hiding injuries and slowing down, but he really hasn't had a lot of public injuries lately.
He's also one of those more old school guys that it's suffer in silence. That whole mentality. He's old school as hell. He still runs like an old school running back. Just smash mouth, north, south, and if you're in his way, he's just going to put you in the dirt. There's no juking. There's hardly any juking with Frank Gore. You used to see his when he was with the Niners, when he was amazing with the Niners. But man, Frank Gore is a great guy. But also, he's not only is that he's a great guy to have on a team. You think if anyone's able to, he's going to be keeping Le'Veon Bell in check.
Yeah, I think he'll be able to put Le'Veon in check a little bit. I think Le'Veon was a little off of his game last year. I was
going bowling at midnight, all that fun stuff that Frank Gore doesn't do.
I think Frank Gore could definitely teach him a couple of things. Le'Veon's a great running back when he wants to be, but I think Frank Gore could tell him a couple more things about being a vet in the league. You could always learn something new. There's always somebody that knows something you don't.
Exactly.
So,
no,
definitely a great situation for Le'Veon.
Yeah, I do miss Gore on the Niners. That Niners era when they had Frank Gore, that was. Oh.
I don't.
Why, Jalen?
Having to play him 2 times a year, that is not something you want for your defense. For
mental, on the mental side, on the stat sheet side, and also for the injury report side. Seeing a bunch of people get ran the hell over by freight train.
Nah, that's not something you want to see.
But I do want to see Frank Gore stay in the league, stay healthy, still make an impact, and I might have him on my bench in fantasy football just because.
Just because.
He's just one of those guys. That'd be great.
Or I might actually draft Le'Veon this year. Not first, obviously. He's kind of.
No, I drafted 2 years ago. I drafted Le'Veon Bell with my second overall pick in the draft. The year before that, I took David Johnson second overall.
Yeah, injured week 1.
Yeah, I don't have a good track record with running backs. And then last season, I took Saquon Barkley, and he got injured. So I'm cursed. It's official.
Who do you think, Ross, this year? Who are you taking with your first overall pick?
Dude, I don't even know anymore.
You don't.
I
Honestly, this has been the first year in a couple of
Saquon
years where I'm
again,
like,
Christian
I don't
McCaffrey.
know.
It's going
I
to be a
think
running
Christian
back because
McCaffrey.
it's obviously going to be a running back because I play in PPR. But dude, I don't know, and to be honest, it doesn't even matter because it never works out for me anyway.
I think
I still
honestly,
in the
this
last
year,
3 years, I still haven't had a first round draft pick that was on my team and playing at the end of the season.
yeah, it's been a while, man. It's been a while.
It's
I
so
started off
bad.
really strong when I started playing fantasy.
Yep.
I always want to play fantasy because I thought it was a little bit more complicated than it actually is. I mean, it's complicated, but
But
not.
it's fun, man. It's real fun.
Yeah, but I started off real strong. I won championships in like my first 2-3 years playing,
Respect.
and then after that, it's been downhill. I mean, last year I made a comeback. It was kind of a crazy comeback. I was last in the league about halfway through, and then I somehow won pretty much all of the second half of the season games and got the final seed. But you end up going against the best
McCaffrey.
guy.
That's whole
That's
offense in
that's all
Carolina.
downside. Yeah,
Yeah,
and then
bro,
he
you're
ended
not
up
wrong. Not wrong.
ended up getting kicked out after that.
That's a bummer, dog. The last 3 years, I've lost in the semifinals of playoffs.
Ouch.
I love it. I love fantasy football. Let's move away from that because I
Hold on.
hate
One,
talking.
one last thing.
Yes.
My worst fantasy football year was I forgot to change my quarterbacks before I woke up at the game started at 10. We're here in California, obviously. So I woke up at 9:58 and I ran to grab my phone and I grabbed it, and right as I was trying to put Cam Newton, that was Cam Newton's MVP season. Right as I was trying to put Cam Newton in, it says you have to update this app first, and the app date took all the way until 10 o'clock.
Oh no.
And I had Carson Palmer, and Carson Palmer didn't do bad.
That's a fat ass
Palmer,
F,
put up, like,
Jalen. That's a
he
fat
put up
ass F.
Carson Palmer put up like 28 points that week, but I ended up needing Cam Newton put up 48 points that week, and a regular, like, no bonus points or anything, just a normal week put up like 48 points, and I needed exactly 45 points to win that week.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, so
Damn.
that one hurt.
Hey, Jalen, that's what you get for sleeping in. Never sleep in.
Yeah, I slept in.
All right, but my question to you now, moving on. So, what should Aaron Rodgers do? There's been a few things that he can do, a few things that are still not out of the realms of possibility. So, a few of his options right now. He could request a trade. This is something that Brett Favre has come out and said. Favre has come out and just said straight up, Rodgers should leave Green Bay. There's nothing left there for him. He should pull a Brett Favre, maybe not fully Brett Favre, and fake retire 3 times and then join 3 different teams or what have you. Join the Jets. One thing that Brett Favre did that Rodgers should definitely not do is join the Jets, then text a dick pic to one of the team employees.
I mean, you got to make them, you got to make it personal, man. You got to really make them feel like you know them already, man. You got to.
Do you send a picture of just the phallic member, or do you also send one like with your face in there too, so it's extra personal?
You got to get extra personal.
You gotta put the face in.
You got to stare into their eyes.
Put the camera down all the way low, and then get the front camera going so you get both.
Yeah, man, you got to get that action in there, man. You got to make it personal. If you really want to join your new team and make an impression, all newcomers to the NFL, this is a lesson to you, man. If you haven't sent one yet, you're behind, man.
Oh, that's bad.
You should have sent one out right at the draft, right after they called your name, bro. You should have had a mass text.
The Fourth and Long podcast is in no any way, shape, or form recommending that people send pictures of unsolicited phallic pictures to anyone ever.
Unsolicited dick pics to anybody.
Don't do that. PSA. Okay, so he can request a trade. We see other landing spots like no one wants it, but there is a possibility. Aaron Rodgers to New England.
Ouch.
Or he could refuse to play. He could straight up just hold out, doing something like Yannick might do, what Le'Veon has done, do stuff like that. Or one of the other options, and honestly the best option, the option that would prove a lot of Aaron Rodgers haters wrong, is actually retiring.
No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Retire, go to the Vikings. Trevor. Or he should coach up Jordan Love and actually take the high road on this for once in his life. Treat Jordan Love as someone that's not family, because we know how bad his family history is and how bad he treats them. But he can actually treat Jordan Love as a friend. Well,
A son.
maybe
I don't know.
treat him
Has
the
he had any
opposite.
history with
So
his son?
Aaron should think of his family and then do the opposite with Jordan Love.
Yeah. I think the best case scenario for him is to, kind of take Jordan Love under his arm, under his wing for probably at least the next 2 seasons.
At least one
Honestly,
season, right? At least one.
The Packers, other than not drafting a receiver this year, their team's still pretty solid. They just in the NFC Championship game.
They haven't lost many pieces.
They haven't lost too many pieces. They could easily go back to the NFC Championship game. I think he should play his heart out for at least the next 2 seasons. Treat Jordan Love with love, no pun intended.
Like he does Dan Kirkpatrick every night.
Yeah. And then, honestly, just if the time comes where Jordan Love takes over and you still feel like you can play, move on to another team. If not, you retire at that point. But I feel like you have to take the high road here. It's not, this is how this game works.
Mm-hmm.
The team's not going to wait till you retire to draft your successor. They want to get them in there. And honestly, I understand why it could be seen as disrespectful, but at the same time, you should kind of take this as a sign of respect because your team wants you still there. They didn't release you and draft a guy. They kept you there because they know how great you are.
Exactly.
And they want somebody to be like you. They want the team to kind of leave your image there, even if you're not there. So
this isn't just for now. This is gonna, however he handles the situation, this is going to show up on his legacy as a player and as the type of player he is. We all know his legacy is almost set on his abilities on the field, but it's not set. His legacy is still not really like that team guy that everyone loves to have in the locker room. He's not known as that guy. He's known as a guy that can go sling a football and throw Hail Marys 20 times a game and score touchdowns in 18 of those 20 Hail Marys.
And get injured, take 20 ibuprofen, come back and throw a game-winning
Bro,
touchdown.
he was on something a little more than ibuprofen. That post-game interview was so funny. That was one of the favorite things I've ever watched.
He was on so many painkillers.
He was high. He was so high.
He was on so many painkillers.
I saw the interview, and just the way he was talking, the look in his eyes, I'm like, dude's high. Straight up.
They most likely gave him some type of pill, and he was like, I still feel like crap. And they called the coach, and the coach was like, man, give him some weed.
He was on.
They gave him Stephen A, and Stephen A was like, let's see it happen.
He was on that good morphine shots is what that dude was on.
Yeah.
So, Aaron Rodgers, whatever he does, he should take the high road. He should not request a trade. He should especially not sit out. Shouldn't retire by any means. He should instead coach Jordan Love for a season or 2 and move on. Because we all know Aaron Rodgers isn't going to finish his career in Green Bay unless he signs that one-day contract when he does eventually retire. But, man, it's for the future. Just leave a good mark on the game. That's what it comes down to.
He was the one who had to take over for Brett Favre, and Brett Favre had to leave. And so you kind of have to understand it.
Mm-hmm.
It was your time to start. Brett Favre wasn't bad by any means at that point when you took over. You kind of at this point have to say it was bound to happen to me. It's bound to happen to most quarterbacks.
The thing is, don't take it like a personal attack.
It's not a personal attack.
It's 99% of moves and trades and deals that happen in the NFL, what 99% that come down to is a business decision. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how tight you are with the owner, with the head coach, and how good you are with the fans and the franchise. It's a business. The NFL is cutthroat as hell, and they really don't care. Look at Peyton Manning in Indianapolis. After 1 year off from surgeries, Colts cut him. They cut him, and that was that. And then Peyton Manning goes on to make 2 Super Bowl appearances, win one with the Broncos. Go Broncos. But there was no love in that. And so, Aaron, play.
It could be worse.
Coach of Jordan Love. Exactly. It could be worse. And moving on to our last NFL relay question of today, Jalen. Mm-hmm. My question I pose to you is, we talked about this briefly, or we talked about this a little bit in depth on our last show in episode 34, possible Cam Newton landing spots. But the question I have for you this week is, will Cam Newton find a team before the season starts?
I think with the pandemic going on, I don't think so. I don't think he'll sign with
You
the
think
team.
that's what's going to ultimately affect his decision?
I feel like that's. I don't feel like it's gonna affect his decision. I feel like it's gonna affect how the teams approach it.
Mm-hmm.
I think whenever preseason does end up coming about, I think teams are gonna start playing, and one or more of the teams. I can't really think of a lot of the teams right now, but the teams that really have questionable quarterbacks right now
Steelers,
are.
Jacksonville, Patriots,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a couple of them. Even people who think
Tampa
they
Bay,
have the starter, they're gonna go into
Indianapolis,
preseason,
Chargers,
and they're gonna start throwing the ball around,
not the
and
Broncos.
they're gonna realize that either their starter quarterback or their backup quarterback is not up to par, and then they're gonna sign Cam Newton, and Cam Newton's gonna outperform their starter, and he's gonna take it over somewhere. But I think if he does sign at the earliest, I think it'll be during the preseason or right before preseason, whenever training camps are allowed to go. You hate to say it, but someone's probably going to get injured. It happens every year. Somebody goes down.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably going to end up taking over somewhere like there. I think right now my gut feeling says it's going to be either Jacksonville or Pittsburgh. I think Ben Roethlisberger. Not that he's inconsistent, but he's kind of getting to that point to where he's always been able to take those shots.
What he has maybe 1-2 seasons left. I know he's coming out of the surgery and saying that like this is the best he's felt in a while, but
that happens a lot.
A lot. I've heard that time and time before, and most of the time it doesn't really come true. Sometimes, yeah. Most of the time, no. I'm giving a cap on Ben Roethlisberger's career as a starter. A cap. I'm being generous at 3 years. Realistically, 2.
Yeah, and then right now your backup quarterback is Mason Rudolph, and we've seen his head's not right. He already took too many shots.
He already has a crater in there, and then you also got a dude on the roster named Duck Hodges.
Yeah, and Duck. But,
to be fair, they didn't do half bad when they filled in, given the circumstances, given where they really were on the roster and that. But those two are not your long-term quarterbacks. They're not going to be your long-term thing. Cam Newton is a proven quarterback in this league. Cam Newton still has what it takes to be a starting quarterback in this league. And remember, did Michael Vick, he was a backup with the Steelers for a year or two.
He also started for a bit when Ben Roethlisberger went down.
Wait, you said Ben Roethlisberger got injured again? Whoa.
Yeah, before this. Wow. But
I didn't think there was a history of this thing happening.
I mean, it seems like it's just like a repeating thing that he gets injured a lot, and you need a good quarterback.
Maybe you should have a good quarterback like Cam Newton to be a backup because he's going to end up starting games no matter what happens.
Yeah, honestly, if I was Cam, I know he said the whole thing about he's not going anywhere to be a backup, but I feel like if you sign with the Steelers, you're gonna start at some point.
It's gonna happen.
You're gonna start at some point. If you're on the Steelers right now, obviously if they sign Cam, it'd be a different story. But if you're on the Steelers right now, you're behind Ben Roethlisberger, you better be taking starter reps because you're starting at some point. If you're the third string quarterback on that team right now, they haven't signed because they haven't signed Cam Newton yet.
Mm-hmm.
You better get those starting reps in because you're coming in too.
Exactly. I do think that one of these teams, especially the Jags or Steelers, I say Jags more than the Steelers because I don't have a lot of faith in Gardner Minshew, at least not what I've seen from his rookie year. I feel like Cam Newton is definitely going to be the better choice moving forward. You still have Minshew as backup, and maybe he can develop. But as of right now, Cam Newton is obviously better than Gardner Minshew.
Yeah.
But between those two teams, those are the best teams that he can go to. But I will answer this question, Galen. Cam Newton is not going to be on the team by the time week 1 kicks off. I'm saying I just don't feel like it's in Cam Newton. I hope he proves me wrong, and I hope I'm wrong with this because I want to see Cam Newton play football this season. But I don't think Cam Newton is going to be able to be like Jameis Winston and swallow his pride a little bit and take a backup contract, maybe not backup money, because he's Cam Newton. Exactly, it's Cam Newton. But he is not going to be brought onto a team and be the automatic immediate starter for them. So he's not going to be starting. He's not going to be on the roster once the season starts.
They should just let Dak Prescott go, the Cowboys, and just have Andy Dalton and Cam Newton go for the spot.
You say that, it sounds so stupid, but at the same time, it makes so much more sense when they actually have going down there in Dallas.
I'd give obviously not right now, but with the potential Cam Newton has and what he's done in his career,
Better
I
than
would have
Dak.
offered him the $35 million that I offered Dak.
I'd rather pay Cam Newton that kind of money than Dak Prescott.
Me too.
Oh man, give
I
Cam
hope,
Newton, Ezekiel Elliott, and that offensive line and those wide receivers. Woo.
I hope
And that defense.
Because I wanted Dak to be drafted by the Cardinals a while back when that
Really?
draft came around. But at the same time, bro,
It's probably a good thing they passed up on him now.
Yeah, now it's like, bro, if you're gonna have this attitude, understandable, whatever. You want 35, you want 30, more than 35 mil. You haven't played like it, and you're kind of being kind of a prissy about it, man. But
That's
it's
cap.
like you got offered money, that good money for the way you've played. Obviously, the team wants you because you're good in their system, but you haven't really won any playoff games,
Nope.
bro. You haven't taken them to the Super Bowl.
Nope.
You haven't gotten close. You're winning.
The closest you've gone was a divisional round, last minute L to the Green Bay Packers.
Ouch.
That was a
Which
fun
you could
game.
have won, honestly.
Should
If you
have
made
won.
a couple more good throws, you should have won that game. But honestly, 35 mil was overshooting it. And for you to be like, I want to be the top paid guy in the league when you don't have top paid guy in the league, stats, win percentage, mentality, leadership skills, anything that the other top guys in the league have, and you're asking to be paid more than those guys. And I just don't think that's smart. Like, honestly, they do say know your worth. At the same time, know your limits. Like,
Dak is whack, and you got to sat that crack, man.
yeah, stay up that crack. He was smoking something when he turned down that
something nice. But there we go.
You could honestly, they even said they were willing to sign a shorter contract with him. It didn't have to be a long term.
No.
He could have got a little bit less money with that, the same money per year for that $35 million deal.
Why
And
Dak turned down that contract, I don't think we'll ever know because it is one of the dumbest choices I think I've seen in recent NFL history.
Dak is gonna shit the bed this year. Excuse my language, but he's gonna crack the bed this year, and he's gonna lose his job, and he's gonna have to find a new home.
Let's hope so, because that'd be funny as hell. Anything bad that happens to the Dallas Cowboys is a good thing for the rest of the NFL. But that's going to do it for our NFL news this week. And next topic is, like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, this is something I've been waiting weeks and weeks and weeks to finally talk about, because ever since January of last year, I have fallen in love with the athletes.
Soccer.
Shut up. Not soccer. Definitely not soccer. This sport is almost the opposite of soccer. Because the athletes are amazing, and the sport itself is amazing. And folks, for the first time ever on the show, we're really going to be able to talk about the sport of Strongman. Over the weekend, Hafthor Bjornsson, a resident of Iceland and a 2018 World's Strongest Man winner, unofficially broke 2017 World's Strongest Man winner Eddie Hall's deadlift record. And this original record was 500 kilograms, which goes out to about 1,102 freedom measurements. Thank you very much. And Eddie Hall originally set this record at Giants Live, which is a strongman event in the year 2016. This happened over the summer of 2016. And that was one of the greatest feats of strength that this world has ever seen. And it was remarkable. Honestly, even if you guys don't know much about the sport of strongman, you should go look up the video, the behind the scenes of Eddie Hall's lift. Amazing. Eddie Hall is a remarkable athlete, and he's obviously one of my favorites. But Eddie Hall set that record, 500K, at Giants Live in 2016, and then over the weekend, Hafthor Bjornsson lifted 501 kilograms, which is about 1,104 pounds. And this was absolutely remarkable because in both examples of the men, of course, it looked like they were struggling a little bit, but to be honest, these guys make it look easy to lift half a ton.
Yeah,
it's
scary. It made it look so easy. I saw him do that. I was like, I can do that. Just the way he made it look, I was like, I think I would struggle, but I could do that.
Yeah, just wait. But then in real life, I look at 300 pounds, and my back breaks just by looking at it.
Yeah, that's true.
But man, this is an absolutely remarkable feat of strength. It is ridiculously amazing. And one of my favorite parts about this was live streamed on ESPN. And so I'll give you guys background because I'm well versed with what's been going on. There was a lot of controversy going to this lift because Hafthor Bjornsson, obviously he wanted this lift to be counted as a official world record. And so far this has been declared unofficial because it was not set in competition. Eddie Hall, it set his record at Giants Live, which is a strongman competition where other competitors had a chance to lift that weight and such. Whereas Hafthor just did this at a gym in Iceland. So it wasn't really in competition, so it is unofficial. But no one's so the unofficial is the way to go, because one of my favorite analogies I saw other strongmen talking about this. Yeah, guys like Big Z, who's a big name in this. Eddie Hall, of course, had a lot of beef about this. We'll delve into that a little more in a second. And then also one of my favorite athletes in the world, and arguably the strongest man of all time, 4-time World Strongman winner, Brian Shaw, also had a lot of things to say about this. So did a lot of other people in the strongman community, like Robert Burst and other names. But they're saying, here analogy, some like the Olympics have been postponed this year. So so the only reason Hafthor did this in his gym is because all strongman activity has been postponed for the time being, because we all know what's going on. I don't need to explain that part. So, but the analogy goes is that the Olympics are postponed, but you're still not going to have Olympic athletes go out like the shot putters. They're not going to be able to go to the backyard in their own shot put ring, throw a world record, and count that as the official world record or Olympic record. Jalen can attest to this. I've attested to this. I probably, when we did shot put, you did discus because you're dumb little wrist.
I did shot put for 4 years before that.
Okay, yeah, but we could with shot put. We probably, to be honest, we probably have our PRs, our non-competition. We probably did them in practice.
Yeah, my PR was a lot higher than my competition PR.
Exactly, but those aren't records, and so that's what they're talking about with this. But at the least, I still think it's amazing because I'm big into sports like this, which is way, way away from being mainstream. Even MMA, even though that they're on ESPN, MMA and UFC is still not really a mainstream sport. So I would love to promote those. I want those. That's why we talk about them so much, because I want them to be big sports that people are loving to watch, especially right now when nothing's going on.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
But it's cool that they got at least the publicity of being on ESPN, and I hope this sport strongman continues to grow. But that is almost not even the biggest news that came from this lift, because after that, they've had some beef. Eddie Hall, and because he's the one that set the record, he was having a lot of beef with Hafthor because they were going back and forth, official, unofficial record, and it got a little personal.
Slightly personal.
The way they're going to be settling this beef is with the biggest boxing match in the history of boxing, because after this fight, they both signed contracts, and so in the month of September of the year 2021, we're going to have all 362 pounds of Eddie Hall, all 452 pounds of Hafthor Bjornsson stepping into the squared circle, donning the boxing gloves, donning those shorts that are pulled up to someone's chest. And we're going to have 814 pounds of man trying to take each other's heads off. And
I really want them to
I cannot
at the same time.
wait for this fight, because this is going to be one of the greatest things we'll ever watch.
I really want them to fall at the same time and the ring just collapse.
Like some WWE stuff.
There's some WWE stuff. They both fall and it collapses and the ref just falls out the ring because he slid down. Like some dumb stuff like that. That'd be freaking hilarious.
Man, with this, you got early bets? Who are you taking in this fight?
I'm a big Game of Thrones fan, man. So, I gotta go.
You're going with Hafthor?
Yeah, I gotta go with Thor.
All right, I'm okay with that. We got some little rivalry going on the show that we're going to be able to build for over a year, because I am 100% on the board of Team Eddie Hall. I can't wait for this guy. But if we're going, we got our UFC 249 preview show hopefully coming out in a day or two. That's going to be hopefully on Thursday is when it will be released. So, but let's talk a little fight right here. Eddie Hall you can give him the edge, at least in cardio in this match, because most people don't know this. Eddie Hall, before he got into strongman, he was actually training to be an Olympic swimmer. He was actually on Britain's Olympic team. He never made it to the Olympics, but he was on Britain's national Olympic team for swimming. And he can still swim. He still does cardio. He still goes and does CrossFit events to break world records in CrossFit just because he can. Because he's bored, I guess. But this dude, Eddie Hall, has cardio. And cardio is one of the biggest things you need in boxing and fighting, of course. So that's why I am willing to give Eddie a lot of credit, because he's going against a guy who's going to be... Eddie Hall is only about 6'3", whereas Hafthor is about 6'9", so he's going to have... not going to have the size advantage, not going to have the reach advantage. But I am going to give Eddie Hall the cardio advantage in this thing, and that is honestly a pretty big portion of what happens in boxing and in fighting. So, my money, as of right now, we still got a number, over a year until this fight's actually going to happen. But as of right now, I will be willing to bet my money on my man, Eddie Hall.
Boo! The mountain for the dub. I'm playing.
Take a nuke to that mountain. Eddie Hall, boy. But there we go. I'm so happy I was finally able to talk about that. I want to bring this up on more shows when I can. And once Strongman does come back, I am going to be talking about it, because it's an amazing sport that you guys should go watch. Because who doesn't want to see these freaks of nature, these people that are absolute behemoths of people, go out and lift 500 kilograms, go out and pull. In one of the events earlier last year, in one of these World Strongman events, they were pulling monster trucks. So they do pull events, like they're pulling planes, pull big ass semis, fire trucks. This last one, they pulled a monster truck. But no, just one monster truck wasn't heavy enough. They had to put a second monster truck on there for them to pull, just so it gives them that enough resistance to make it actually hard. They go out and they deadlift cars, man. Who doesn't want to see this stuff? They take these the Atlas stones, really cool event. They pick up these giant concrete and steel balls and put them on pedestals, man. It's just big dudes being big dudes, moving big weight and doing absolutely ridiculous stuff, and it is one of the best spectacles that you could watch.
Yeah, no, that is... They are amazing and amazingly strong people. Like, amazingly strong people.
It shouldn't be real.
It shouldn't
no human
be.
should be able
I've
to do
watched
that
some
stuff.
of the stuff that they have to do, and I'm like, first of all, who came up with this?
Well, it's simple stuff, because you see,
boulder.
that rock, it looks heavy. I'm gonna pick it up.
I'm gonna pick that shit up. I'm gonna pick it up. That's.
Hey, Jalen, you see that mountain? I'm gonna push it.
I'm gonna push that
mountain.
shit. I'm gonna push it.
I love it.
Why?
I really
push it.
because I'm stronger than you. Who cares?
And then freaking the one I've seen that was like the funniest, but also one of the most amazing ones I saw was they make a guy with a rope pull pretty much like a semi.
Yeah. Well, not only will they pull it like a fire truck, touch him, they'll sit down and then with the rope attached to it, they'll pull it to them.
Yeah. Like I was like, who came up with this?
Hey man, you mind giving me that? Hey man, pass the fire truck. All right, give me a sec.
Yeah, yeah.
Come on.
Can you bring that over here? Oh, where's the keys? Oh, they're inside. Nah, I don't need the keys. Give me a rope. I don't need the keys.
I love it. Honestly, more people should be watching stuff like that.
Absolutely amazing.
But there is finally our strongman stuff right there. And let's talk about baseball real quick. So, baseball, last night, we finally had our first glimpse of the year of live baseball. ESPN is now airing live shows about like 11 o'clock my time, like 1 o'clock Eastern, some super late stuff, but they're playing live shows and games and commentating them from the Korean Baseball League. So last night in the inaugural Korean Baseball League broadcast, we had the NC Dinos defeating the Samsung Lions 4-0. But that's not the story. Well, part of the story is, of course, the first time we see live sports back in who knows how long at this point. The game was delayed with rain. We had a rain delay in the first live show.
Yeah.
The world hates us. You really can't make this up. Man. But that's not the story, though. That really isn't. The story is, Jalen, it's the mascot of the NC Dinos. Have you seen the picture?
Yes, I have.
It is a buff dinosaur, and the name of said buff dinosaur is Swole Daddy.
Swole Daddy.
You heard me right. It's
Swole Daddy the
Swole
dinosaur.
Daddy the dinosaur.
I don't.
And hands down, who needs a Philly fanatic? Who needs Miles and all that fun stuff? Who's the name of the Cardinals mascot?
What did you say?
What's the name of the Cardinals mascot?
Big Red.
All right, screw Big Red, because it's all about Swole Daddy.
You made this personal. You never talk trash about Big Red.
Big Red can suck my Big Red. But he's never anything like Swole.
Okay.
You got a bird, we got a horse, go Broncos. But Swole Daddy, this is easily the best mascot in all of professional sports across the world right now. I don't care. You can bring up anyone, Patriot P or whatever, the Yankees, whoever the hell a Yankee is. Well, I don't even know the Yankees' actual mascot. Do they even have a mascot? Who knows? But
after this show on Twitter, we'll be posting what is the greatest mascot name that you've heard of in all of sports, any team, any level. We're gonna see what you guys have.
The one thing that Korea is always going to have over us, I guess, in besides child labor in dictator up there up north, is that America, I don't think any one of our teams will ever be able to either call their mascot this or be able to actually think of coming up with a mascot named Swole Daddy.
Yeah. I don't think we will. No, they could have. They have that victory, and I'll give it to them.
I respect that. What I do want to see, Jalen, is a grudge match. Is a little. If we're on boxing from the Strongman, let's get another big time boxing match together. I want to see Swole Daddy against what was it? Damn, what was the name of the Philadelphia Flyers? Like Grizzly or something.
Yeah, I know what you're talking.
Something weird.
Right now.
That Phillies. Or the Flyers. What's up with Philadelphia though? With really weird and kind of creepy mascots.
I don't know. I don't know. I really don't.
I don't. I don't at all. But hey, you do you, man. Philadelphia is not known for being sane. They're known for the weirdest looking mascots, and they're also known for fans that booed Santa and threw snowballs at him. So we're not expecting anything good out of Philadelphia.
Yeah, no,
okay.
I don't I don't know what's going on over there.
See, right. It's fun. I love it. And you know what? At the very least, I'm okay and I'm happy. It could be 11 o'clock my time, and I still stay up and watch it because I've been up at 2 a.m. to watch the A's play in Tokyo last year. I'm going to watch live sports, damn it. And I don't care. It's going to happen.
Who has live sports? No money, Phil.
I wish we can. Hey, Hulu sponsor us. Hell yeah.
Hulu has live sports.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there? Nah, doesn't work. The commercials lie to us, bro. Commercials lie to us. But what's new?
But Fourth and Long podcast does not lie to you guys.
No, all the truth, 100% of the time. We never lie, and that itself is not a lie. Maybe.
Not at all. Maybe.
Just to cover it quickly, though, Jalen, I know you haven't really seen it, and I was able to catch at least episode 5. But
I've seen everything except episode 5.
You don't really need to see it, though, because you can just go on Twitter when it's playing. Straight
That's
up.
True.
I get everything from that. But, man, this one hurt because we saw video and interviews and stuff like that between, like, the great times we've seen Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan match up against each other, whether it be in the All-Star games, whether it be in the actual games and stuff like that at the Garden. And, man, this one hit hard.
Yeah, it did. Seeing that and hearing from Kobe again, and something nobody's heard yet, it's tough. It's kind of after somebody passes away, especially like, the great people who are like mentors and idols of a lot of people in the world. It's kind of like you go through that phase of after you lose them of not believing it. And then like usually, after a while it passes and you kind of accepted it. But then seeing something like this, like interviews of him that we haven't seen before and him saying stuff that, we all had questions about him and Jordan and kind of getting some of those answered. It kind of like puts it, like restarts the process, a little bit.
It really does. It reopens that wound. It picks the scab off right off that cut. Man, and
it kind of hurt.
Kobe Bryant was the one man holding all the awfulness in the world because once that happened, the world, everything just kind of went
What
out
the
of control.
crap?
Yeah. So
Absolute
Kobe Bryant
crap.
was the guardian of Earth. I think we can fully confirm that.
Yeah.
RIP, of course. And The Last Dance has been surprisingly good. I'm not even like a huge fan of basketball, but I've gotten into it because
Oh yeah.
it's good TV. It doesn't matter if you're a fan of basketball or not. You cannot know anything in anyone in that show.
Well,
And you're gonna be
if you know
entertained.
me, you know when it comes to basketball, if it's not about my Kings, I don't want to hear it. But
Yeah,
the last dance, hearing some of
exactly.
the stuff that went on,
Mhm.
that is
It's
crazy.
awesome
like,
TV.
To
It's
see the ins and outs of
the
a
behind.
whole entire
You
thing
can't
is
beat
it's
seeing the
crazy.
behind the scenes of sports. There's
Yeah,
so much that
it's
goes on, and we'll never know the half of it really.
that's why I've really liked lately. I know it's slightly off topic, but the NFL teams like doing like their own shows, the
Mhm.
All or Nothing, the Hard Knocks.
Well, it's
All
like
that stuff. I love seeing those,
it's
bro.
all like
Those
the
are
XFL. I love RP XFL, but the
yeah.
satellite interviews, the stuff that happens live, and all that. I love that kind of stuff, and that's the kind of stuff I need in my sports.
Yeah, that's why. Like, I've loved seeing like the Cardinals still have their show on YouTube.
Hmm.
They do one now after they did All or Nothing. They said the exposure that they got from it, they loved doing it, so they kept doing their own. And being able to see like they already had like they released episodes about like the draft and like
Hmm.
their drafting and
Stuff
what
is
they were
awesome.
talking about. Yeah, it's like stuff that you don't see
Hmm.
or hear about usually from
Exactly.
most teams. And
Exactly.
so seeing that stuff, especially from the sports and especially this whole thing about Michael Jordan, the arguably one of the greatest player of all time, has just been one of the greatest organization of all time
Greatest
at
franchises,
that
greatest
time.
teams of ever, greatest
Yeah,
dynasties of all
one of
time.
the greatest dynasties of
The
all
greatest
time.
dynasty of all time.
Yeah, and so seeing the ins and outs of that, you kind of see like nothing. Even though it seems so great on the outside,
Hmm.
it's not always perfect, and there's always stuff that we didn't know.
Exactly.
So
So we're going to move on into the last couple topics of the show, some MMA news to wrap things up. For those listening, if you guys have any last minute questions, feel free to drop them in the chat because we will be responding to them once we're done with this last bit of news. But the Amanda Nunes Felicia Spencer title fight that was supposed to be on this May 9th card for UFC 249 has been rescheduled to June 6th. Amanda Nunes, of course, pulled out due to injury, also due to uncertainty during her training camp, which is totally reasonable. And I got nothing against her. She's a champ, and she is the greatest woman fighter on the planet right now. And so I'm not going to question anything that she does, not going to criticize her for anything
and
that
honestly,
she does.
I think we should give her because a lot of people are going at her about if you're the greatest, you should be able to just go anytime. But at the same time, if you know you're the greatest and you're seen as the greatest, the last thing you want to do is go in not prepared and lose a fight you know you shouldn't have lost.
Exactly. Like John Jones when he turned down Chael Sonnen a number of years ago. And
Yeah.
he was called the card killer or the fight killer, whatever.
Yeah.
But, it's something like that, and I can't really fault her. We all really know anyway, that Felicia Spencer is just the next victim on the Amanda Nunes card, and this whole thing is just kind of delayed than inevitable. But
Yeah.
I do want to see a healthy Amanda Nunes kick the hell out of Spencer than non-healthy Amanda Nunes just beat Spencer.
I mean, the only really fight I want to see in those, lower classes right now, because there's no offense to them. There are some great fighters there, but the skill difference between fighter to, people right out of like this number 2 and 3 spot is like really big right now. I hope it gets fixed sooner or
in the
later.
women's divisions.
In the women's divisions right now, the skill set difference
Because you got
it's really
you're gonna have
spread out.
Nunes, and then you have everyone else. You have Valentina Shevchenko. You have everyone else. Then you have
Wei Lee.
you have Whaley and Young Jacek, and then you have everyone else.
But that was kind of one of the the Wei Lee one and a little bit lower where Rose is.
Yeah.
Those ones are kind of
The women's
I think-
strawweight is the only women's division
Yeah.
that actually has some sort of parity to it right now.
yeah,
only one.
that one's kind of the belt kind of gets to move around because the competition is really not as split. And it's not saying that their top is worse, but at the same time, it's like you can watch a fight and be like, okay, I think this girl's gonna win, not just because you know her.
Yeah.
A lot of the times when you see people go against Valentina Shevchenko or Amanda Nunes,
Killer.
anytime
Shevchenko's
for the only
killer.
reason you
somebody else's win is because you know that person.
Yeah.
Or you've trained with that
The
person.
only reason you want to watch those fights is so you can see Shevchenko or Nunes take someone's head off, because that's entertaining as hell too.
So right now, the only fight I really want to see down there right now, unless we start seeing more not violent, but higher skilled fighters in those rings, I want to see Amanda Nunes versus Shevchenko. That's my dream right now.
Well, Amanda Nunes has already beat her twice, I believe. The only really women's fight I'd be truly interested in watching is a cross promotion one, and it probably won't happen, but a cross promotion bout between Chris Cyborg and Amanda Nunes for that rematch, where Nunes pieced the hell out of Cyborg. Cyborg wants revenge. That's the only thing I could see. That's the only person I could realistically see defeating Amanda Nunes.
I think Shevchenko could do it.
But
I think he could close.
The last story I want to talk about, Jalen, is this came out today. Another thing that's supposed to be happening on June 6th, barring any sort of postponements, is this fight promotion, American fight promotion called the Cardin Combat Sports, is working on one of the most unique cards I've ever seen in my life. In one card, we're going to see MMA, kickboxing, and bare knuckle fighting.
No, you haven't been to a bar.
I'm talking about an official licensed fight where they actually sign contracts.
Oh, all right then, never mind.
But this card is slated to take place currently June 6th in Topeka, Kansas. And the way it's going to be set up, because they're going to have all sorts of fights, they're going to have a ring and a cage side by side. And dude, there's supposed to be a UFC event on June 6th, but if I can, I'll be having both of them. I'm gonna have my laptop, I'm gonna have my computer, and we're gonna be watching both cards at the same time, because sweet damn, that sounds like a whole lot of fun in one night.
Yeah, it's a lot of fighting that I want to see.
That's awesome.
Even if I don't catch it live, I'm probably gonna rewatch the entire thing.
See, maybe one more thing. Let's throw in like a BJJ match or something like that. Let's throw in like a Muay Thai or grappling match too. Do some like low submission underground, so we get every aspect, because
every aspect.
But seeing bare knuckle and
have the rest fight. I want to see a rest fight too.
Maybe not that one.
And then I want to see a fighter who wins a fight. I want to see him call a fan in, and then I want to see them fight.
Let's see two fans. Let's get the two drunkest fans to go and fight each other in a fight of their choosing, in the style they're choosing.
Make it an Iron Man tournament, and you have to fight the other fighter in their discipline. Yep. So let's say you're a kickboxer, you win your fight, and the next guy is a full-on MMA guy. Now you guys go MMA switch.
No. To go off that, we see the kickboxers do bare knuckle. We see the bare knuckles do kickboxing. You see MMA guys do kickboxing. Switch it up, something ridiculous like that. But let's get into
do team versus team 6v6. Everyone fights at the same time.
Oh boy, during some Thermopylae fight company right there. But before we end this, let's get to your questions real quick. We have Yankee fan for life, Ray Rodriguez, saying, "Will Frank Gore take the second all-time yards mark?"
Yes.
With the way he's going, it might take him 1 season, might take him 2 seasons, might take him 5-6 seasons, but he is not going to retire until he gets that mark.
It takes him 4, but I think he'll do it in 3.
I think he'll realistically, yes, 3, maybe 2 for lucky.
I think he'll be right there at the end of 2.
Frank Gore is rushing for 1,400 yards this season just to take it this season and retire early. That'd be scary. Let's see. Bold predictions: will Dak get hurt? Will Dalton lead the Cowboys to the promised land? I'm telling you, the Cowboys are never going to make it back to the promised land because it's been since the 90s. But he will take them. Dak Prescott will not get injured, but rather he'll get benched due to poor play.
Dak Prescott is going to
Dalton,
have a game where he throws 3 interceptions, and he's going to get benched for Dalton.
Dalton is going to take the Cowboys all the way to the divisional round where they'll lose again. But that's pretty good for Cowboys fans. Like, Cowboys, you guys should be happy about that, right?
Dalton's going to lead them to the 7th or 6th seed.
6th. Oh my. Yeah, but yeah, it's going to take them there. Let's see, anything else? Yeah, you guys just had comments that Cam Newton, going back to our conversation about Cam Newton is just too arrogant and to take the backup role at the start. I do agree with you on that one. But
I think he's slightly arrogant, but at the same time, he's kind of proven that he can be one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
be.
So he lightweight deserves to be. I know he had like this year where he was injured, and
I'm
coming
not
off
going to
of
blame
things,
his last like shortcomings to just all on him. There's
I'm not going to blame
number
it on
of
him
things
being
that
arrogant.
went into that. But thank you everyone for tuning in today. We made it to 4 in one time with just one short, Jalen,
Hey,
but it's okay. We're at
short.
4.
Hold on. I can do this.
What about the Don Shula quote? Do you got a Don Shula quote?
Yeah, let me pull one up. I got to pull up the Don Shula quote. I forgot I closed it out real quick. Also, we did technically make it to 5 because I went on the stream too. So
Hell yeah.
So we did make it to 5 because I went on the stream too.
Hate you so much.
I made it 5. It counts.
Give me the quote, damn it.
Okay. He just kind of has quotes.
Don Shula has a lot of quotes. Can we get one though?
Okay, I got one. I got one right here. This one is a shout out to the Cowboys. Sure, luck means a lot in football.
Man, imagine that, right?
Not having also, I don't know any other way to lead but by example.
It's a good one. My favorite one is him just calling Bill Belichick Belicheat.
Yeah,
you can't beat that. And before we go off, I just want to give a shout out to an Instagram page, Blake_Runyon. That's BLAKE_RUNYON. This boy came in clutch and helped me with my business stats finals today, and so I want to give him a little round of applause because thank you.
Shout out to you, man.
You the real MVP. Yeah. You the real MVP. But thanks MVP. Everyone for
the real MVP though is Andrew. Shout out to Andrew.
Shout out to Andrew, bro. Shout out to Andrew. Can't wait to hopefully have him on the show on the live stream on Saturday. We'll be live streaming our reactions and having a little fight companion for UFC 249 on Saturday night. Keep a watch out for tomorrow we'll be recording a UFC 249 preview show that will be up Thursday morning, and everything will be ready to go for the return of professional sports in America. But with that being said,
also,
yes,
one last thing.
Swole you say this a lot.
Will live forever. Yankee fan for life. Swole Daddy will live forever.
God bless you, Swole Daddy.
I saw that question and I had to answer. Swole Daddy will live forever, and Swole Daddy's in your dreams. You probably need to go see a psychiatrist, but that's just my opinion. All right.
God bless you, Swole Daddy. Long live Swole Daddy. But thanks everyone for joining us with episode 35. And we're so happy to have you with the first inaugural live stream for our podcast. And we can't wait to see you guys in the UFC 249 preview show on Thursday morning. But with that being said, thank you everyone for tuning in. And we will catch you guys in the next one.